So I went to my local gun shop, got me some 303 British, and it's KK Kovia Cal 7.7mm, which is 303. That's what I found out. It looks 303. I read it up on the internet, and it says it's motherfucking gravity's a bitch. It says it's finished machine gun ammo for the Lewis gun, because this thing is stamped back in the 30s. VRT 176-37 is what I can make out. This camera's a crappy 2.55 grains. 15 Patruna KK Kovia Cal 7.7mm Ilman Stice, I don't know. And it's got that on it. And they were saying on Cal Guns, I think, or some forum, that this is also 8mm Mauser packaging for some of their aircraft. Anyways, I bought it for cheap, and I looked on Gunbroker. It's fucking $40 a partial corroded ass, nasty ass box, but it hasn't sold, so I'm like, fuck it. I'm going to tear it apart and look at it as a standard for my 303 Brit to so that way I have a standard for making reloads. It's a Cooper nickel bullet. It's rimmed. It's got a little bit of corrosion on it, not bad. Let's see if my camera can focus here. Always had problems with this thing. There we go. VP. Let's see here. VPT 38. So that means it was made in 1938 is what I'm assuming. There's 15 rounds here. The box I seen on Gunbroker is like $45. Not near as nice as this. And it was missing like 4 rounds or some shit. And it was ridiculous. I'm just going to tear it apart and document it. And tear a couple rounds apart. Probably shoot 1 or 2 for chronograph to get for a speed rating. And see where I can go from that. I'm an amateur, so I don't give a fuck. This is for my own personal use. If somebody else finds this and watches this, hopefully they can go off what I'm seeing so they can do like what I'm doing for standard. You know, to try to standardize ammunition for their own use. So, got my Connect bullet puller. And I was pulling some rounds down, and I noticed that this cap having a hole in it with the regular 3-prong collet. I hate cameras. They don't know my subject matter. There, with the three-prong collet in there, with the hole being open, it was letting powder loose, and I couldn't get an accurate measurement on some Nagant ammo and shit. So I just took some hot glue, set this sumbitch on a table upside down, took some hot glue and glued it in the inside of that, touched my finger to it, burnt the shit out of my finger, but I got what I wanted to. And my pinky's pretty much all healed up by now. No idea where to set this camera to get a good shot of it. That'll work. Anyways, got me one of my rounds here. Yeah, there you can kind of see it. Cooper nickel rounds. VPT. My hammer. Gotta get my shoulder. is you can stick your shell holder upside down in these things and use that instead of your 3-prong collet, and it's a lot easier to do than your O-ring bullshit. What number was that? That was my RCVS one that didn't have a number, wasn't it? That ain't it. That ain't it either. There we go. There it is. Found it. So you take your shell holder, stick it in, take the nipple end, or you know, that little top end there where my finger's touching, stick it in like that. If gravity ain't such a bitch, it'd be a lot easier. Stick it in like that with your shell in there, and then close your lid on it. So take your shell holder in like that, kind of get it all centered up, stick it on there, make sure you're threading it on right, tighten her down. Oh, evidently my hot glue ain't as tight as I thought, because I've never done this with my hot glue on, but my hot glue is starting to come up. Well, tighten her down, it's nice and snug, hit her up against the concrete floor. Busting the shit out of this camera here. See? Pretty good stuff. It's got a flake-like powder like the German 8mm Mauser stuff. Pretty good wax, and kind of puts some pressure up against the ground. Don't let it, try not to let it bounce, but like one big bounce, like wrap it up like a, you know, you're doing like a drum or whatever, you know. Or do you? This stupid piece of shit. So, got my case. That thing was crimped like a motherfucker too. So, stick all that in here. Right now it looks like a 174 grain bullet, which is very likely with the 303 British, because that's what their British standard was. I'm gonna stick my plug back in. I'm gonna have to figure out something else for that. I don't know. So, got my case here, bullet pulled here. My bullet and my powder. Look at that. That is a almost looked like they just fucking poured lead into it. Come on. Looks like a Cooper nickel bullet with a flat base on it and a pretty good crimp groove. I'm gonna measure it real quick if I can find my calipers. No, they're in the house. Yeah, I'm gonna weigh it and then I'll, yeah. So, got my powder measure here. Personal hygiene stuff. You got it set to 150 grain, and it goes way over that. I'll set this to 175 grain. All I did was roll it to that side, so it's not quite off balance as bad. I'm not looking for exact. I want generalization because I don't think I can get the exact same bullet in commercial loadings. So it looks like it's 175.5 grain, basically 175 grains. Let's see here. So I figure the pendulum effect, or whatever the fuck you want to say, basically it's going to swing at equal distance between where it's right on, and right now it's close enough. I don't give a shit. So I allow 1/10 a grain on anything, pretty much. So I'd consider that, yeah, 75 2/10. 175.2 grain bullet, flat base, Spitzer, Cooper nickel, shiny as hell, a little bit corroded, with a cantilever in it. And this German style, I think that's what it is. I've seen this on other videos, pulling other surplus apart. This is an early smokeless powder, I think. See, it's kind of square in there. Can't buy a good camera anymore. I swear. See how it's... Not gonna weigh that because I don't give a shit. So I'll find my own weight. But I think what I'll end up doing is just staying with the flat base. I already got some bullets here on my lathe. Some of these 303 cal 174 grain round nose interlocks at 312s. My bore is 312, and these have shot really well. I did some H380 loads. Let's see here. Some it says New Winchester brass. Didn't trim them to a shorter length. Sometimes I do. It's from an already shot barrel. I didn't clean it. CCI 200 primers. Let's see. .303 cal, 312, 174 grain round nose, number 3130. I didn't feed it from the mag. I stuck the bullets in the tube and closed it from 50 yards. With 43 grains of H380. I'm not liable for your loadings, but this is what it did. That's the tightest group I've ever gotten out of it. What short time I've shot it and had it and actually grouped it and target shot with it. It did that at 50 yards. That's one group. That was 4 shots. 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, it was 5 shots, and then that was 3. Where the pin mark on the below is where it struck because it barely hit the tape. I was aiming at the bottom of the tape. That's exactly how it was on the board, on the poster board, or so. It wasn't probably that, a little bit off on level probably though, but anyways, I figure all your I recognize pink pretty good, evidently. This is retarded. This really is. So your cantilevers, so your bullet's sticking out a little farther, and your ogive is forward more. I think that's actually a better bullet, the commercial variant, but Spitzer probably a little bit better aerodynamic, but I'm wanting target ammo pretty much. That's just GI, American GI accuracy. If you can see it, you can hit it. Don't matter what it is. With an exception, as long as it's not real if it's a Raggedy Ann doll at 300 yards or a frickin' bowling pin at 200, you should be able to hit it within your mag. Say you have 5 rounds in your magazine, you should hit it within the 5 rounds of your magazine. You got 10 rounds, you should be able to hit it in your 10 rounds. Let's see here. Let me look here. I'm trying to get the light right to see if it's reloadable or not. Over to my extra special light. That shit ain't reloadable. Huh. It's got a normal size Berdan primer, but it ain't reloadable. Or, you know, it's a Berdan primer, but it's like a large pistol or a large rifle size. Interesting. Changes my whole perspective. I was wanting to tear all these apart, put cast bullets in them, and see how long these things or brass will last for the 303 with a 5 grain charge of pistol powder in the 90 grain weight cast bullet. I figured I could get 20 loads out of the sumbitch, but being Berdan, I'd have to convert it. Anyways, I guess I'll test it and shoot it and see what it does for speed with a 174 grain bullet, and then I'll be able to know what to load those commercial ones up for, because I can get another box of those. And I've heard those work great for the Mosin. I got a Mosin, I got an infield, and I think that's only ones that can take a 312 bullet that I have. Alright. Sorry to make this so long, but this is my own reference. If you want to watch it, you can. I don't care.